Proud to be alive. If you can't do that,
it's not something that you can just make up about yourself. You have to be able to show that you are as strong as you say you are. Especially if you're competing in strongman.
Okay.
All right, here we are, episode 64 of the Strong and Petty podcast here at the Iron Age Gym in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'm Tyler Sigurdsson, pro strongman. This is Devin Penner, strongman promoter, organizer.
There's still pro in there too.
Pro organizer.
Promoter.
Promoter, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Oh, I'm an idiot. Promoter, yeah.
It's a dad joke for me.
I'm a pro strongman. You're a promoter. We're both professionals. We're here at the greatest place on earth in Winnipeg. The greatest place on earth outside of Winnipeg is, of course, Training Grounds Gym. But you can see behind us, we got. Well, there's somewhere back there. The Lolies, Mom Loli, Dad Loli, getting ready for Vita's Strongest coming up.
Like in the armpit of Canada. This is the shaved armpit.
It's the hottest part of it.
This is the nicest.
This is the warmest
not
part
those
of it.
new age woman letting it go.
No, not that.
This is the shaved armpit.
A nice shorn armpit.
Yeah.
We got people prepping for Vita's Strongest here. It's just like this strongman season is very condensed here in Manitoba this year.
It's brutal.
And it feels like I'm telling my clients, like, we just wrapped on Manitoba Strongest. I'm like, I don't want you to think that we're not going to go back and discuss this and talk about it, but I kind of just want to get to the next thing. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to get right to the programming for the next thing. The nice part about us not having any repeat events is that it's like, all right, you sucked at, like, let's say event X. Well, that event's not going to be in the next one. So we're not worried about that right now. We're going to move on to something else here. Yeah. And I had to tell them that we're not ignoring these shows. We're going to go back to it and do like basically like a lump.
This will be in the off season. We're going to work on these events.
Yeah. There's just so little time right now with everything going on. Like, we had Tolstoy, and then 2 weeks?
Tolstoy was 25th. Then it was 2 weeks.
2 weeks later, we had Manitoba Strongest. 3 weeks later, we have Vita, and then
we get
a nice long 4-week break until
we get 5.
5 weeks. Wow, that's like a vacation. 5 weeks. Yeah. For all you guys, if you don't get twice as strong in those 5 weeks, you've wasted your 5 weeks. Until we have provincials. Of course, for some of us, we're splitting that with the Magnus show in Gimli. For some of the guys, is Pat doing that one? Do you know?
Magnus and Gimli?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So maybe just me and Dan will be the only Manitoba guys doing that one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So there won't be a lot of splitting because it's just the 2 pro guys doing that one, so there won't be any crossover with those. But very, very busy season, although I'll say, like, for a guy like Dan, like, this must feel like a vacation for him. He's only competed twice?
Yeah.
Once so far this year.
Yeah, his first comp was
MSM. Yeah, like,
and then he's doing Westerns.
Yeah. By this time last year, that was already his 3rd, maybe 4th competition.
Yeah. And this year he's got MSM, Westerns, Magnus. That's it.
And then
OSG.
OSG, yeah. That's a hell of a year compared to last year, where I think he said he had like 9 competitions or something like that. So that's awesome. It was a nice little breather for Dan. Very well deserved. So we are in the fallout, the wake of Manitoba Strongest Man and Woman, and I'm going to say that I think that in terms purely of like execution, but also like the level of competition and like the kind of the stories that we had in that competition, if you want to call it that, like the little mini stories brewing between competitors and stuff like that in terms of placings, maybe the best show that we put on
by far.
Yeah,
by far.
I'm willing to put that out there.
Yeah,
I think
the most competitive
for sure
open show
in both categories
we've ever had.
Yep.
Yeah, like when we said the top 8's going to be the top 8,
right?
And we didn't know what order, and we really didn't guess it at all.
No.
We really didn't know what order it was going to finish up.
We each got some of the people right.
Yes.
Not in the right order.
Yeah, no.
Like that's
one order was right.
No.
Like if I look at Brian, he was 2.5 points out.
Yeah, it was.
And he was ahead of Dan to the last event.
Yeah.
Which was, I'm like, okay, unexpected. It's his second show in his life.
Right.
No, third because he did the novice, which is whatever. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Bushi banged out again.
Yeah, great. He's getting better every time.
Jeremy, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Pat had a really bad day. He messed his knee up pretty bad in the yoke.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Well, I hope that's not anything too serious.
Yeah.
Really?
So he's hurting.
Oh boy,
he's hurting.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, best wishes to Pat. Hopefully that doesn't take too long to get better for him.
So, which would be terrible because that CSM show's coming up 105, and there's all sorts of guys dropping out.
Yeah,
BJ Goss is gone.
God, yeah. I hope that he can...
all the top podium guys are gone, and BJ Goss dropped out. And
wow.
Wow.
Well, hopefully he can make it happen. I'm sure he can. He's a very resilient guy. Yeah, I know he didn't have the performance that he would have liked to have had that day. I think, to be honest with you, I think Dan would have hoped for a little better, but then so did I. Like, it was a weird thing where I think both of us imagined us being at least one spot higher on the podium.
Yeah.
I don't think that he envisioned himself finishing third, and I didn't envision myself finishing second.
Nope.
But it's probably a bit of a weird one for Dan, where on certain events, great performances.
Yes.
Like the circus dumbbell obviously is the one that stands out, setting a new provincial record, 240 pounds, and that's finally taking one of our Manitoba records, and putting that up there with like other provinces' records.
Yes, and he could have. I think he had 250.
I think he had 250 that day too.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the guys, like, say, like this. I think the Sask record is somewhere 255 or something like that. I would take,
it's probably not in Jeffers either.
I think it is Jeffers, unfortunately.
It's probably he probably did it in a deadlift suit.
Yeah, he probably did it in
Gives him more pop.
Colton and Jeffers, I want to say, each have the best dumbbell in their respective provinces, and I want to say that they're both sub 260. So it's something to say that we're finally getting to this point where it's like we're catching up with those guys, because our guys are just getting
and
really,
a interesting technique Dan used compared to everybody else. The way
the hip shift kind of
thing.
Yeah,
he looked like an old lady bent over ready to take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I kind of liked.
Which I was kind of into.
Yeah,
no, but I was having my own good little day with the circus dumbbell.
But you hit PRs.
I hit 230, which I've never hit before, and that was a good one. And
240 is close.
Well, and 240 felt close the day up. I think, like, by the time that we were done and that we finished with the dumbbell and I sat down, I was like, man, my shoulder is fucking beat. I didn't really notice it until we were finished. And but Dan definitely, like, that was the thing, was that we had talked about doing 5-pound jumps once we got to like, say, 200 pounds.
I know, but I could tell no one was
like, fuck, man, like we're crushing this, and I was really just like deferring to Dan.
Yeah.
Where I was like, what can you hit right now?
Yeah.
I was like, can you hit 230?
Which is very good. He was like better.
Right, because I'm not going to split 5 pounds every time.
Because if you were a guy who, and I'm not saying you have better stamina than Dan, because I don't know, but if you were a guy who's like, I know I have more stamina and I could hit 500 intervals and bang it still to my PR, and let's say Dan couldn't, I'm sure he could have, you could have played the game, because we said it in the rules 5, and be like, I'll gas him out and I'll catch him.
To be honest with you, I don't think that would have worked anyway.
No, I don't. But
that wasn't in my head, because I was just I was trying to make it so we get the highest number. That was what really
you were being very
cool.
I'm trying to think of the word, but like a real good sportsmanship.
But I just asked him because I to be honest with you, like, I don't mean to make it seem like I had like a defeatist attitude or anything, but I was very confident that whatever I could do, he was going to get that 1 pound more than me. Whatever, you know what I mean? Like, obviously more than 1 pound, but whatever. But like, so I just asked him, like, do you have 230? He said, yeah. Like, I was just 230.
And you have those days where you can feel it's clicking.
Yeah.
And no matter what anybody else is hitting that day,
right,
you are going to one up.
And I'm sure he felt that way.
Yeah, and you just to see the way he was prepped, he's like, it's there.
When we did 230, to be frank with you, I was like 240. I was like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I was like, are you gonna hit 240? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, let's just do 240 then. There's no point in splitting 235. We both get it, and then you get 240, and I don't. You know what I mean? Like,
and
just
everybody's gassed.
Yeah, and we're slowing down the comp and stuff. Like, I was like, let's just do it. So he smoked that 240 in a way that I was like, that was extremely convincing, and I felt like I was like, there, that I can feel perfectly good about that. That I wouldn't have gotten that, and he might have gotten more, and that I was fine with leaving it at that. So. Congrats to Dan on a new. Oh, there's thrones. Congrats to Dan on a new Manitoba provincial record on that one, and like I said, a very good one.
It's actually disgusting how heavy guys are doing circus dumbbell already.
That's the thing, is that I think that it's hard for some people to really understand that it's like, everyone knows like 225 is like a good benchmark for your, no pun intended, for your bench. Mm-hmm. Like, if you can put up a 225 bench, it's like, there you go, you're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
So now imagine taking that and putting it overhead with one hand.
Yeah.
And more. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's just like, that's like 225 is getting to be kind of like normal now. Like, that's pretty fucking wild.
But in terms of men's shakeup.
Well, yeah, we were remiss in not talking about the final standings.
Man, I had, and we talked about it. And I messaged you, we chatted all week, and I messaged you, I said, I didn't see you losing.
No,
I did not. No. I told a lot of people had asked me outside of the podcast, and hey, what do you actually think? No, I guess I didn't see. I figured you had at least. I figured you had this year left.
Yeah.
And I figured Langler would be top 4 or 5, possibly third is where I thought. Possibly, I figured Pat might be able to upset, but the event list was not in Pat's favor.
No.
In terms of the way he moves, like his movie events are not his forte. So that's something I'm sure he's going to work on in the off season. I knew Dan would be up there. I knew Brian would be up there, but I didn't know where because I coach him and everything. I know he's strong, but I'm going to give him props. He really put it together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very proud of him.
For sure. And I don't mean this as in any ways an insult to Brian.
Yeah.
But he did much better than I expected.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Just solely because he's so new.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You don't know what to expect.
No.
Bushi placed right around where I figured he would be top 6, our top 8 was actually kind of exactly what I thought we'd have for top 8.
And a good performance.
I figured the only one that could really upset Inter would be depending on how Blakely's day went.
Right.
After that Magnus show with the deadlifts and he just jumped, I was like, you can never count that guy.
No.
Never count that guy where he's going to end up.
Yeah, he's a very interesting character too, where he, like, to use the Magnus show as an example, he wore a deadlift suit for that competition. That was the first day that he'd ever worn that deadlift
Yeah, he'd never
suit.
been in it.
Never wore it in training, never tried it on. And I was like, oh, I really wouldn't do that if I was you. And then he went and did it and fucking smoked, like, got second place in the deadlift or whatever. So he's a very much a wild card. But congratulations for before we go any further, we should say congratulations to both Andrew Langelar and Jocelyn Grimolfsson, who are respectively Manitoba's strongest man and woman.
Yep.
Very well deserved on both of them.
Yeah.
I can tell you, it's hard. It's hard to take a loss like that when it's like, in my mind, I quote unquote like shouldn't have lost, like whatever the fuck that means.
And you're a proud guy.
And I'm a proud guy.
Yeah.
The title means something to me, and it makes me happy, kind of in retrospect, that 3 years ago, like the year before you won, there just wasn't a Manitoba.
We never did it.
Man. We didn't have it.
Nope.
It just didn't exist. Really, I guess like the closest thing you would call it is whoever wins the open division in the CASA shows.
Yeah,
basically.
or whoever won Winkler.
Sure. Yeah.
That was literally
if you're going way back. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it means a lot to me. Where it might seem sort of like small potatoes compared to what some of the guys are doing. Say we have like Tristan going to Worlds and we have Westerwinski going to fucking Worlds and Strongest Man on Earth and all this stuff. But it's nice to me to know that this competition means as much to other people as it does to me.
Yeah.
Because I know that it meant a lot for Langlar to win it.
Yeah.
The people around him were very happy, excited for him.
Yeah.
The people who had helped him, like the Grimolfssons and you and everybody else who had given him a hand. Like it was a tough loss to take, and I kind of had to like. When I saw you say to him, like, you got him, like, you got that by 1 second, I was like, fuck. And I just went and I just, like, stood behind the porta potties for maybe 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And I just was like, wow, fuck. And then I just kind of, like, went back around and shook his hand.
Well, and that was the hard part for me is I helped Langler train. Like, I helped him with his yoke. I helped him with a lot of little technique things. He kept my gym. And just like I do with anybody who asks me, I just enjoy helping.
Sure.
And me and you are good buddies.
Yeah.
So, and I had said here, I expected you to win, and then he wins it, and I'm excited because we got it for one of the best time. So I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I'm excited. I'm saying, I look at you and I tell you, I'm like, he got you by like 1.0 whatever seconds, and I felt guilty and bad saying it.
It's just like it's. I'm sure you can see it. I'm sure it was all over my face.
Oh no, just
that I was not happy with with myself. I'm not like, and that's the thing is what I stressed about this is people ask me like, oh, how you feeling, whatever, and I said honestly, it kind of feels like after getting dumped. Where it's like you're just kind of going about your day and you're just like, oh, well, then you think about it and you're like, oh, fuck. Like, I did lose that. You know what I mean? So it's like, whatever. But, there was no bad calls. There was no equipment malfunctions. There was no discrepancies with anything.
Nope.
I just had one bad event that was bad enough that it sewered a bunch of really good events that I had. I got first and second in every other event.
Literally.
Yeah. And I just bombed the arm over arm.
Yeah.
And it was the event that I knew going into it that I was the worst at. And it was also the event that I practiced the least.
Yeah.
So there's no one to blame.
And in hindsight, you're like, damn it.
I wish I'd spent more time on it.
Yeah.
And that's what. And there's nothing for me to, I can feel like a level of like, oh man, like the fucking new guy, he got me.
Yeah.
But it's also not really fair to Andrew to call him like this new whatever. Like he's been powerlifting for 10 years.
It's like when a top level powerlifter comes over and does well, and you're like, well, always new. Well, yeah, but he's got a base bigger than most people's careers.
So he did and he did an amazing job too. And that's like I don't think he won any events, but he was consistently in the top 2 and 3 and everything.
Second, third,
so
and then he got the stone.
Yep, and he got that last. Or he did win the stone.
Yeah,
yeah, he did win the stones.
Yeah.
So he and to get that 425, which I believe that was his second time doing stones.
Yeah. He came up. He did stones a little bit at his gym for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Came to my place and did stones the week before.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Just bonkers.
So I didn't have him picking the 425 stone.
I would never would have guessed, and that's why I took my time with it, because I thought, I was like, if I can get this, that'll put me over the edge, and that'll win. And then all of a sudden he's loading it, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And he was slow with those first 4, so I was hopeful. 1 second.
But he went, he was slow at the first 4, but he went right into the 5th.
Yeah. Yeah, I took
Where
my
you
time
were fast,
to retacky.
And then you retack. Well, because honestly, I didn't think anybody outside of you was getting it anyways.
Yeah.
I didn't have Langler getting the stone.
No.
The 5th.
So
Not that he's like obviously Kippa, but I'm like, new to stones.
But what would lead you to believe that? Like,
exactly.
There's no history to
no
be
one
like,
comes into stones the first time to stones a comp and nails a 430 stone.
No, it just doesn't happen. And so it was 1 second. He beat me on the stones by 1 second.
Yeah.
And he beat me overall by 1 point.
Yeah.
Which is like when I talk about this being like an exciting competition.
2 points.
2 points. Yep, you're right.
Because if you would have won, it would have been a tie.
Yeah, you're right. Yep,
and then you would have won on the count back.
That's right.
Yeah.
2 points.
That 1 second was.
So it was a 1 second deciding, and you like I said, you want to talk about like a nail biter finish to it.
Yeah.
Like that's.
I'll tell you what, the crowd loved it.
Yeah, and thank you to everybody who came out, like just a fucking great
Dude, we had
crowd.
well over 500 people there
for sure. Like, and that's what when I say that this was a great show, I mean that on behalf of the competitors and the organization and the stream and everything, but also just the people who came out and watched it. Like, just awesome.
The whole Rumble environment.
Yeah.
Like what Brian does there is Rumble in the Valley. It's crazy.
Unbelievable. Thank you again.
Food
to
trucks
Rumble.
were unreal.
Yeah.
The one truck there, Danielle got a burger from at the end. And I took a bite because I had a protein shake at 8, and then I didn't eat till 8 o'clock at night.
Oh my god.
Because it was just we were a bit behind on setup. It was go. I had 3 Timbits and half a cookie someone gave me during some.
You must have been just stuffed.
Yeah, I missed Kelly.
Yeah.
Or Kelsey. Sorry, Kelsey. She always brings me food.
You got to talk to Candace next time. She always has snacks.
But crowd loved it. You said no bad calls. There were 2 bad calls I made.
There were no bad calls that affected my finish.
No. There was actually. I went back on all my calls because I always evaluate if I screw up, and I remember if I make it a little bit of a screw up, and it wouldn't have changed the placing.
No.
So I was like, okay, that's good.
The only thing that would have changed the placing, but was not a bad call and was not a manipulation of the rules or anything, was the slide that we're going to now implement a slide penalty on the yoke.
Yeah.
But there was no, by no means was Andrew trying to take advantage of anything, and you called it the way that we had said it. We had set a penalty for sliding across the finish line, and what we hadn't done, just because we're learning as we're going here, we hadn't set a slide penalty for just during the run.
Yeah.
So there was a significant slide that did save him some seconds, but it wasn't against the rules.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it on purpose.
No.
So
that was the hard part,
right?
Like the excessive sliding of ours, because we had some guys there that were excessive sliding.
Right.
Like they were pushing because they couldn't do the yoke.
Right.
And then I'm like, that doesn't work. Langler was just moving so damn fast, he tripped.
And
I watched it, and because of the asphalt we were on was super slippery.
It just slid. Yeah, it went like 4 feet, maybe.
And it just slid.
Yeah.
And like you could tell he was surprised. If you watch the video, he's trying to pick the thing back up, but it's sliding.
Right.
And I'm like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And I gave Jeremy a definitely gift on the circus dumbbell. Jeremy Baker.
I know Chris Weeb got a gift.
Yeah, Chris, we've got a gift. So there's 3.
And Brian got a fucking kick in the nuts.
Brian got screwed. So that's my 3 calls. I gave Chris a gift. I gave Jeremy a gift. And Jeremy came to me after. He's like, that is a gift. And I'm like, Jeremy, the problem is I moved my hand and I said yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I wanted to take it back. But I'm like, I couldn't.
Right.
And then with Chris, I knew what Chris was capable of. I knew the weights he could hit, and I knew it would be the opener.
Yeah.
If he got it, which was a PR.
Right.
And he damn near had that thing perfect. Like he had it locked up, but he was stumbling.
It was a gym lift.
Yeah,
and it wasn't like it was way off.
And I gave it to him because I'm like, you know what? It's the first lift of the day. It's going to build confidence. And no offense, Chris, he wasn't going to be a podium finisher.
No.
And I knew this would, for one, it'd mean a lot. It was there. If that was definitely like second, third lift, it was a no-go.
Also, watch the video and Devin's like kind of overstating a little bit. It wasn't like. It wasn't like he was like this and like gave it to him.
He was still just moving his feet.
Yeah, it was a gym lift. It was a gym lift that I would have given him all day.
And then Brian got completely shafted.
He was fucking ready to have a sip of water up there with the dumbbell up there.
Oh.
No, but it's funny because I watched the video back and I could see what you were thinking. I could see where you're like, there's still movement, there was still motion.
The dumbbell was coming towards me.
Yes. So I will say that all things being equal, I wouldn't have given him the rep either. But with the other ones that were passing, maybe. But
the 2 that I gave away, That was a shoe-in.
For sure.
So and it's worse because it's my athlete. It's my brother-in-law.
Right.
My sister-in-law is next to me screaming, yes. So Brian drops the dumbbell thinking he got it because she's screaming, yeah, good. And
she's the boss.
And man, I felt like we go back to the gym the next day, and I'm like, walk in, I'm like, so we fighting or what? Like you mad or like, what's going on? Like we scrapping? He's like, whatever. He's like, but why did you call it? And Danielle, after, she's like, from behind, I wouldn't have given him the rep.
Right.
I'm like, oh, why? She's like, because the dumbbell when he locked out was
always forward.
It was forward
bit.
in a momentum, and I'm like, I'm trying to think of what I seen at the time. Why I said no. And I'm like,
there was just always movement.
I thought it was an elbow not locked. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
but the elbow was. Then it was the knees were. And then I watched the video. I'm like, oh, it was like I seen something moving
forward.
Yeah, and I said if I needed you to hold it for one more second, you couldn't have done it because it was moving forward.
No, I think that if we're talking about,
but for the other two soft ones,
that's the only thing in the context. Yes, he could have gotten that one. But if we're talking, it's just if across the board everyone's getting zero tolerance, then no, that's not.
And I was like, someone else like I'm human, and I think that day. I think I made 700 or 800 calls.
Yeah, sure.
Between different because of the bench reps.
Sure, yeah.
The circuit dumbbell, so many reps.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, if I had one bad call and 2 gimmies out of 800, I figured it was an okay day for me.
For sure, absolutely, yeah. And speaking of that bench press, that fucking really sewered some guys. Holy smokes, man! Like I kind of couldn't believe it. Like
guys, and man, I couldn't believe. How many guys were taking zeros on that thing?
I think a lot of guys, honestly, like, okay, so I think that a lot of guys who couldn't even get like the thing off the block, I think, and this is, the guys who I'm saying this to, you can come at me if you want. I don't think you guys tried hard enough.
I don't think so either.
I think that because that's the hardest part is that last little bit because it gets heavier as you go up, right? Yeah. I think that if they really just established it and just like, got that thing up, and then they had treated it like it's like has that sling at the bottom and then pushed it really hard, I think that more guys would have gotten it.
Halfway up on the tractor, we weighed it, and we weighed it 3, 4, 5 times at home. We checked it, and I lifted it through the range of motion. Yeah. Where that block was about 308 pounds.
Yeah. And I think that more guys could have gotten it if they tried a little harder. Yeah. And I kind of equate it to when I did CSM and we did the back lift. Like the guys that I beat, they're all stronger than me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't think there's any guys there who aren't statically stronger than me at that CSM in 2022. But what I was willing to do was just sit there and wait longer and just apply it like as much as I possibly could until eventually, because it's like a 0-1 thing, right? Where it moves 2 inches and you're good. Yeah. And it was the same thing with that bench press, where I think if more guys would have been like, I'm not stopping until this fucking thing goes up. Yeah. And also I think that guys could have stood to pay a little more attention to what's going on. Yeah. So we see that a lot of guys, their hips were popping up, coming up off the bench. And we had a very typical bench rule there where your butt had to be on the bench. Yeah.
And I took reps away.
And you did. Yep. Guys should have paid attention to that. They should have put their feet out further. Yep. They should have put their legs out straight. Yep. They should have figured out something that, like, it's like, well, if it's happened to that guy, I don't want it to happen to me. Yeah. But it just kept happening to people over and over again.
And some guys would listen. I would tell them where to place their bar. And I did the same. I said, your bar right now is going to hit you here in the chest. Yeah. Oh.
So I slid down a little bit. Yeah.
Lots of guys. Some guys did. Some guys like, no, I like it high on the chest. Yeah. No one. Your rotators don't.
You will not like it when you feel it there. Yeah. And I think that a lot of guys too could have stood to. I was saying with the foot thing, like. So when I watched guys doing that, I was like, okay, so it's probably easier. Like I put my hips up to get the bar out, and then I set myself. Yep. So now I've kind of gotten a feel of how much pressure I can apply before my hips go up. So I've kind of got an understanding of that, and also I've made the pick out easier. Yeah. I think a lot of guys who weren't who were looking for one. Yeah. I think they should have been paying a little bit more attention to what guys were doing and seen, oh, I can put my hips up to get it out, make it easier, make it a big decline, and then set myself and then start pressing. Yeah. So, and I don't mean this as like shame on you guys for whatever, but I mean this as like shame. Yeah, as somebody who has a little more experience, like that's what I did is I watched guys do it. Yeah. I knew that I won the yoke, so I was going to be the last guy to do it. Yeah. So I watched every person do it. Yeah.
And no one had an advantage because no one tested.
No one had tried it.
No one tried it. Even at my gym, Chris Lambert. Yeah. Came and helped me.
I think that might be worth saying is that because it looked like I had been practiced with it. I had never touched that implement before.
I made the bench pad at 9 o'clock or 8:30 that morning.
Right. So it just happened to click for me. It just happened to really work. Yeah. Where I got 11, which is what I needed to win. I felt like I could have gotten 20 if I needed to. Yeah. It just clicked, and I don't know why. But I think that guys who are greener to this or who are like on the weaker end of things need to start paying a little bit closer attention to the technical stuff of this.
Yes.
So that they can start to make gains outside of just strength.
Yes.
So now, and I don't like let's go to any of our guys who are in say like the 120 or lower. You know, you're going to be like let's say the 105 guys specifically.
Yeah.
You who jumped into this competition. First of all, great for doing that, but you know that you're not going to be as big and heavy as some of these guys. You're not going to, and you're not going to be as strong as some of the big guys. So what you need to be doing is paying attention to the small technical things that can give you little boosts here and there.
Yeah.
And the setup on the bench would have gone a huge way for that, I think.
But talk about getting spanked by a dude half your size. Not you, but how many guys do you and MDO comes and bangs out?
Yeah.
175-pound dude comes out and bangs out a rep. What do you get? He got 3 or 4.
3 or 4, and I knew that he would too because he's a good bencher.
He's a 365.
I think he's at 360 or something like that. Which is he's a fucking stocky built to bench, and that was nice to see. It was nice to see him have a really good one like that. He had a good circus dumbbell too. I think he hit 160.
Yep.
He's hit 170 in the gym, but you know it's the circus dumbbell is so weird. You can hit 20 pounds less in competition or 20 pounds more in competition or whatever, right? But he was one that he's just great because he's always smiling. He's always having a good time. Like I love having him around. But everyone did. I think everyone did a little worse on the bench press than they thought they were going.
Absolutely did.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think anybody really like ran away with it in the way that.
Which I liked. It mixed up the standings.
Yes, and it was because you know whatever we don't have to hang on that one for too long. But like the yoke was good. A lot of guys like me and Dan had a nice like neck and neck run on that one.
And he was ahead of you for a bit, and then you passed him.
And it was a really fun.
You jumped ahead. He pulled ahead. You went past and won. I'm like, love it.
I said afterwards, I was like, thank God that I was against Dan.
Yeah.
Because that's the only reason that I beat Dan's time.
Yeah.
If it would have been me and somebody else who wasn't as good at yoke,
you would have slowed
once
down.
I'm past them, I'm like, you know, like what, you know, you don't have that instinct to be like, I have to fucking go as
That's
fast
why I
as
like
can
head-to-head
right
events, man.
Yeah,
especially moving events.
It's way better. It's way, and I think Dan would probably say the same thing too. His time might not have been as hot if he hadn't been right next to somebody who was pushing him that same way.
Yeah.
But we so there was the yoke, the arm over arm. That was the one where a lot of guys, like I was watching guys do it, and I was like, damn, a lot of guys making this look really hard.
Yeah.
And then I did fucking terrible in it. Yeah. It was that
rope was slippery.
The rope was difficult. I got a new like Manila rope that was a little slippery. Slick was what I was looking for. But no excuses.
Yeah.
You know, guys finished it. Lots of guys finished it, and I looked at it and I was like, when I was done, I was like, motherfucker. I was like, what if I gotten 2 more feet? No, the next guy was 8 feet ahead of me. You know what I mean?
You were mad. Dan was mad.
Yeah.
There were a lot of guys mad at that.
Yeah, it was just, and it was. I was mad at myself. I was mad at. I was unimpressed with how I did. Like I just like, I felt like at no point did I have like a real technique dialed in. Like I was just doing whatever kind of felt right in the moment. Yeah. It's frustrating because I'd seen say like Anna had been doing it here and she crushed the arm over arm.
Yeah.
Anna Fund. She did an amazing job on the arm over arm. I think she was the only woman to finish. I think she might have been, but she definitely won.
I think so.
And when she was practicing it here, her technique was like you could use it for like if you were making a strongman video game, you would attach like the CGI thing to her, like the motion capture to her, because she was just killing it. And I knew going into that she was going to do awesome. And we'd be pulling the same weight in the sled, just practicing technique, and she's getting faster than I am at the same weight. Like it wasn't heavy; it was like 4 plates or whatever. But I'm like, I'm not getting this fucking technique that she's doing. And it just really that was the only event that if I'd gotten 8 more feet, I would have won. And
if you look at Pat,
gonna win a shutout. But
Pat was moving so damn fast, he started just rolling it.
Right. Yeah.
Stop because it was moving too fast.
Yeah.
So he just started rolling it until it slowed down, and then used his legs again. I'm like,
a few guys started using kind of crazy techniques, and I was watching. I was like, man, these guys are not doing this real smoothly. Yeah. And then once you're there, it's like you remember that how quickly it is just to go into retard mode, and all of a sudden you're just doing whatever feels right in the moment, whether or not it's smart.
That was interesting. Atlas Stone, that we'll never use that platform again.
I loved it.
61 inches.
61 inches for the first one.
Dan splits his chin, hitting himself with a stone.
I love that platform.
Those things got shit kicked.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of guys who dropped the stone and buckled the bars.
Yeah.
I might sheet.
That would probably be a good idea.
Sheet metal the front of those things.
That would make them a little heavier, but it might make them last a little bit longer.
Because, man, did those get beat up.
Yeah, so our first stone for the men was... The women's were much more appropriate with their height jumps. The first stone for the men was 265 pounds.
Yeah, to 61 inches.
61 inches.
And the top was loose. Like all the tops, I realized I need to screw these tops down, but like I said,
hit that edge and the top came off.
Oh man.
But well, you know, what are you gonna do, right? I loved it. I love that platform. I wish they were all that tall.
Poor Emmerdale and Chris and Pat and
I'm gonna say it, and I'll say this with knowing that Pat will hear this.
Yeah.
Pat should have gotten that stone.
he knows it. He was so mad.
He should have gotten that stone. He's strong enough to shoulder.
He flipped it up and he missed his grip on it, and then he's like, after the third time we're talking to the gym, he's like, I was so mentally defeated.
Right.
After that yoke, and I've seen it happen. It happened in Lambert at Novice. Like, guys' nervous system take a beating. When he came into the bench press, he couldn't see.
He said that he hadn't recovered from the yoke by the time he got on the bench.
Yeah, he couldn't see.
Yeah.
He's a 400-something bench. He got 1 rep.
Right.
And I'm like, ooh, he couldn't. He was just shaking, uncontrollable. He's like, because I came and talked to him, I'm like, are you okay? He's like, I'm not okay. Something's wrong.
So when you I don't mean to make this a thing where Pat's not, because with this is not shitting on Pat.
Yeah.
But to use him as an example, because he's somebody that you see training a lot. When someone's not responding well to yoke like that, was it just a lack of exposure? Is that what you would say, or what was it?
He was not expecting to finish the yoke.
Okay.
So in the gym, he had made, we were talking about 10, 15 feet. His goal was to pick it up and just make it a small distance.
Okay.
And then everybody, the hometown crowd cheering him, he blasted the whole thing, which was like a 60-foot PR. And I think his body was not, because he's not great at yoke, and
why,
he hadn't.
Why does he suck at yoke? Because he's a strong deadlifter. So he's a strong squatter.
He's really shaky in it. His core.
Okay.
He's really shaky. That it's like it just compresses him.
Right.
I don't know how to explain it. So it was a massive PR for him.
Pat, hit me up. I have some recommendations for you based on what I saw.
Hit him up.
Yeah.
And I think the fact he finished it, his body, it'd be exciting, a massive PR. Sure. And then it was just, and he did it against hometown crowd, and everybody else there.
Which respect for that too, because everybody really did put on a show. That's one thing I'll say, that if somebody got 10 reps on something, or if they zeroed it, everybody put on a show and put on some effort. So I really do appreciate
one
that.
more thing
Those
I gotta
stones
mention,
were insane.
because once we're done with this, we're gonna backtrack and then go over the women's, because we haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
But damn it, people with their stones and putting on $80 worth of tacky in their arms and greasing up the stones. Damn it, guys! Less is more.
Yeah. You do get to a point of diminishing returns.
$260. That stone was a grease ball by the time you guys got to it.
Yeah, we could probably, maybe we could stand to do some like
a stone seminar.
Well, we do so many seminars with like big name stuff. But there's stuff that me and Devin could teach people on a local level that we could maybe stand to do something like that. Like, here's how you apply tacky for a stone and stuff.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people like overdid it to a certain degree, but whatever. They the one performance that I wanted to point out on the stones, Clint.
Yeah.
Holy shit. He must have had that stone on the edge of the platform, and like 10% on the edge of the platform, 90% on his chest for 15 seconds.
Dude, I stood behind him because I'm like, he's got to be sleeping already.
There's no way. Like, I was watching him, I'm like, there's no way that this doesn't become a fucking crazy meme video where he passes out and the stone kills him.
Yep.
I was watching it and I was like, please, I was becoming a religious man sitting there where I was like, somebody get this fucking stone off of his chest, please. And I said, because he just didn't have like the edge I thought, where I was like, God damn it. And the worst part about this is it's gonna fucking spin out and he's gonna miss it. Like, it's gonna roll out.
And then he got it.
And then he got it. So that was.
I had my hand behind it. I coach him, but I'm just like, man, you're gonna die. Like, in my head, I was like, I wanted to tell him, just drop it, repick, man. Like, you're. No, he grinded that out.
Fuck. And it's like. You on one hand, you want to commend someone where it's like, that was amazing, love seeing that kind of heart, love seeing that kind of effort, and on the other hand, you want to be like, man, think about your fucking family. Like, you got to go home to somebody after this. Like, holy shit. But that really was something that stood out to me as one of the moments of the day where I was like, God damn.
If there was a moment of the day that stood out that you would post up after, it'd be grinding that
probably,
out. That
was extremely impressive. And we've talked so much about the men here that we gotta go back to the ladies, because I think that maybe none more shocking than to herself, Jocelyn Grimolfsson, winning Manitoba Strongest Woman. I had her as third on my podium. She was my pick for third. And goddamn, she just didn't win the whole thing.
So I talked to Gord a couple days before the Cup, or we talk almost every day, but. And he had asked, and Gordon, I talked to Danielle about it, and I had told her, I'm like, there is a very good chance Jocelyn can win this comp.
Yeah.
But Jocelyn might hate me for saying this, because for me, it was an amazing day because the whole women's podium was all my athletes. So I was like, all three of my girls placed first, second, third. For sure. So for me as a coach, I was like, I feel really good about that.
For sure.
And I had Mara possibly winning maybe in comp experience, but I knew Jocelyn she put it good. But if I tell Jocelyn sort of like a week or 2 or 3 weeks out, hey, I think this is your comp. You need to really.
Right.
She's got a higher stress job. She's got it can really bring her down, and it'll actually negatively affect. There's people who you can make. If I'm telling you can win this comp, and you're like, I can, and it gets you, and you will win because people are helping you. Where some people, if you tell them that, it puts undue pressure on them.
Right.
I think that's kind of what happened to Pat.
That's very interesting.
I think that's happened to Pat. Hometown crowd, you want it for a while, and you start screwing up, and then because of that pressure, you bomb out completely.
Pat's a fiery personality.
Yes.
When it comes to as a competitor.
So with Joss, it was, and I told the girl, I'm like, man, I think she, but I'm like, we can't say nothing, which is exactly what I wanted, and she did exactly what I thought she'd do. More because she hit a PR in the circus dumbbell. Mara hit a PR in the circus dumbbell. For me, I'm like, sweet, we hit PRs, which is better than we were doing in training, which is what I was hoping. Ariel did amazing. Like they were all, I mean, Mara and Jocelyn were tied, right? They went back on the count back.
Yep.
Mara was a bit disappointed for sure because, but
Mara's in the same boat that I was in, where I think that people considered her to be the uncrowned Manitoba strongest woman for a long time.
Yeah.
And Kelsey came in last year and got that, and Anna got second last year, and there was a great competition for both of them.
Yeah,
great performances. But I think that Mara, in whether or not she even wants to put it out there, she knows that she is Manitoba's best strong woman.
Yeah.
Whether it's now or whether it's of all time.
Yeah.
Is the debate.
Yeah.
Right. So she's obviously very, very good still, and no one's questioning that. But it's going to be up to her to prove if she's currently the best.
She's coming up like she's, I don't know, mid to late 40s.
Right, and that's
Jocelyn too.
Well,
Jocelyn's a master. Like she's
if you
40s.
If you look at our women's division competitors, almost all of them
are.
So we have
late 30s and in the 40s.
We have at least 4 off the top of my head. Our entire podium, and Kelly, and
Anna.
Well, she didn't do the thing, but like if we're looking at our competitors from there, we have. More than half are in our Masters division, and then we have Anna, Anna Fund, who competed, who would be in a junior division. You know what I mean? Like it's a very big gap. It's really interesting.
Well, and Abby and Aaron, same thing.
Abby Junior, Abby and
Aaron, they're all young.
Yep.
Like there's no one from like 24. Well, I don't know what Ariel is, but like there's a 10-year gap where there's nothing.
Yeah. Would Ariel be a Masters or no?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay. Then I take that back. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm mistaken.
I don't believe so.
Okay. So
I could be wrong there. I should know because I have her info, but
we don't discuss such things.
That's
age.
It's a very touchy subject.
No, but it's just a really interesting thing where our top women right now, 1, 2 at least, are in the Masters division, and it really leaves the door open for who's going to be that next gen to come in and start doing it. Whereas our men's division, I'm only in I'm in my early to mid 30s, you can call it.
Yeah.
Langelaar now, he's in his late 20s. Dan's in his late 20s. God knows how Pat's like what 30, 31.
Pat's 34, 35.
Oh, he's a little older than me.
Yeah,
but he's like just such a fucking spry guy that it doesn't.
Brian's 32.
What?
Brian's younger than you.
Brian's younger than me?
Yeah, he is, dude. Oh, yeah. Brian's younger than Jeanette. Brian might be 31. 31? Because Danielle's 35 this year, so Jeanette will be 33 this year, and Brian's younger than Jeanette.
I had no idea.
Dude, he's younger than you.
He's a hard-living 31. Yeah. Right now. Holy smokes. Good for you, Ryan.
Yeah, he's young still.
But we have this. We have
Jeremy. How's Jeremy?
Jeremy's in his mid to late 20s too. He's only 27, I think. So we have this young crop of guys that in 5 years, that top spot, with the exception of maybe like Langelaar Dan, is going to look extremely different.
It's absolutely
right.
Mocha's
he's in his late 20s or maybe
late
30.
20s or early 30s.
Yeah, he's another example too of a guy who has a lot of good years left.
Yeah,
as long as he can take care of himself.
Yeah.
But these, it's a very interesting path they're on right now, and the women too. Like just the numbers they were putting up, the circus dumbbell was awesome,
dude.
Like,
unreal.
Just all of them were really flirting with those top numbers, that 100 pounds.
Yeah,
awesome to see. And with the women too, I approached Abby Harms afterwards, who did just an awesome job.
Yeah,
especially this is her third competition.
Yeah.
And I know that
with not a strength training background.
No, and that's the thing too. She's a true like green lifter, and she, I think she was feeling a little like down from the day, whatever, didn't get the things she wanted. And I tell her this, and I say this to anybody who feels that way after a competition. Like obviously it's okay to feel like you didn't do your best and whatever. That you can have those feelings, deal with them, get rid of them, go on to the next competition. But when you're so new, when you're so new to competing, to lifting, to all that stuff, just being there is a huge W in my mind.
Absolutely.
Just signing up, just putting your money down and showing up that day is a huge fucking victory in my mind. And I said this before. I said it to Anna Deloli because she would often be competing by herself, and we finally had a competition where she was going to compete against somebody a couple years ago now, and the person bailed. And I said, in my mind, you've beaten that person. I know you're competing by yourself today, but you beat everybody who doesn't sign up.
Well, she's doing Vita.
Yes.
And Lexi's doing
and Sabrina's doing. We'll finally
Sabrina,
have 3 people in that division.
Exciting.
Yes, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
So, but I say this to anybody who if you got dead last at Manitoba Strongest Man or Woman, you beat everybody who didn't sign up for it.
Man, I've had people this year, last year, same people. Yeah, I'm going to sign up. And then talk to me after what happened. Oh, I missed the sign up date. So I send them the next sign up date. Yeah. Because I just it's always
and
then they don't respond.
No.
And I see them again. What happened? Oh, I missed the sign up date.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't. There's always a reason, and there's guys who there's guys like Martin. There's guys like Chris Weeb.
Yep.
There's these guys who go in there knowing that they're going to take a head kicking, but knowing that they're going to come out the other side better for it.
Yep.
And those guys will have my respect 10 times out of 10 and more than a guy who's like, I'm just not ready this year. I'm going to wait till next year, blah, blah, blah. Yep. It's like, well, if you can hit any of these and not 0, then you're ready. And if you choose not to do it, that's your call. But but don't pretend like it's anything other than you're just afraid to compete.
Exactly.
Because so to the people that competed and however you might have done, I know I speak on behalf of Devin when I say that we're both so proud of our Manitoba scene right now. Just watching that competition was really something else. Seeing the people helping each other, seeing the people cheering each other on, just seeing the highs and lows. It was a really, really, really great competition.
What?
And sorry, please.
And I'll say we go back to the arm over arm. So you get Abby goes up first.
Yeah.
And moves a couple inches.
Right.
That thing's not moving. And we just tested it that morning because we couldn't test it beforehand.
Yeah.
I felt like, holy shit, not another arm over arm I screwed up.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, son of a gun.
Vehicle pull, yeah.
And then Anna comes up, blasts the whole thing.
Yeah.
She did phenomenal.
Yeah.
The other girls, Mara, Ariel, Jocelyn, did good.
Yeah.
I think you're correct, and no one else finished, and they'll correct me if I'm wrong. But, yeah. And then I feel like who else do we have there? Abby? Kelly. How did Kelly didn't finish either.
She didn't finish it, but she was happy with how she did it.
Yeah, she did well. And she's a newer face.
Right.
Then you move on to the yoke. I didn't have Jocelyn finish. Jocelyn's not a great yoke. Like, we struggled with that in training.
Right.
We were working a lot on that. Did great. Mara did exactly what I thought she'd do on yoke. Ariel, I don't know how Ariel competes and laughs at the same time.
Yeah, she does though.
Even when she gets to the bench, I line up with the bench. I'm like, okay, it's going to touch you here. And, here, it's going to touch you here. No, I'm like, I felt so stupid because the guys that touched their chest.
Yeah.
And I did that to
like mime.
I did that to the first girl. I think it was Ariel. I'm like, you want on your sternum? I'm like, ooh. We need to stop this.
Take note of who I am.
Shit.
Yeah.
And she's just giggling. I'm like, hey, we need to stop the giggling. You need to get this lift. Like, props to her. She always cracks me with the comp because she will literally be in the middle event and I'll like, hey, you didn't listen to my command. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And then she giggles and keeps going. I'm like, how do you get?
She's such a nice spirited person.
Yeah. How are you getting so? And then we screw up her last name on the shirts.
Yeah.
It's probably my fault. I put it in wrong. I changed on the Vita ones.
Now we know Griffith, not Frey's last name.
Frick, I felt so, yeah.
And I want to say too on the topic of the people not competing. So, because we're all connected and strong.
Yes.
And people forget that. People forget that. Not only do me and some of the other competitors in different provinces and different countries even compete against each other, we're friends.
Yeah.
And we chat and we talk. So I was privy to a conversation of somebody telling me or somebody telling somebody else how I should be embarrassed for having lost to someone who's as new and as unbelievably unpracticed and unskilled as Andrew Langelaar. Which, as we said before, is extremely disrespectful to Langelaar and the history that he's put into the sport. Keeping in mind, this person who's saying this does not compete. They're not in strongman. They're not in powerlifting. They're not in any strength sport. They're on the peripherals just talking shit for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So, the only thing that I would say, I did feel a certain shame after losing, a certain embarrassment that you shake off and you move on to the next competition.
That's just part of losing.
If I didn't feel that, I'd be like, well, why am I even doing this? Like, if I didn't want to win. Now, I would say the only thing that's more embarrassing than losing is never competing.
Yeah.
Never signing up, never putting your name on the registration, and never proving that you can do something.
Yeah.
So in no way. I congratulate. I'm going to train with Andrew this weekend.
Yeah, you're all coming to my gym tomorrow morning.
In no way am I embarrassed to lose to him. He had a great day. He put everything together well, and he beat me absolutely fair and square.
Yep.
There's no embarrassment in that to me. So if you're on the outside looking in and thinking like, oh, that's pretty embarrassing that this pro lost to this guy, fucking jump in.
Yeah.
And I'll run anybody who wants to, anybody who thinks that I sucked that day or I had a shit performance or whatever. Let's run it back. I'll run it back at your gym.
Same events. Yep.
Exact same events.
Yeah.
We'll run it back with anybody who wants to, and we'll see that's it. Like how it looks on the final.
Hell, I might even come under time and join that.
Yeah. And we'll see how it looks. Now, I don't want to dedicate too much time to that because we don't need to dedicate time to people who aren't involved in our scene. But I just wanted to. I think it's an important thing to put out there. The idea that losing sucks and it's tough. But there's by no means am I going to let that be what defines me now as a competitor. Like I got to move on to the next thing.
Look at the worlds. You got guys like Stoltman or Novikov. These guys, they'll win worlds and they'll lose 4 other competitions that year to the same guys that beat at worlds.
Sure, yeah.
Because that's just it depends on the event list, how your day's going, how your personal issues. There's factors.
Right. And Manitoba Strongest Man is a big deal to me. It's a big deal to people who do Strongman. So it does affect whether you win or lose it. Yeah. But I had a night where I walked around my block with my fucking just like staring at the road, and then I went inside, and then I went to the gym and trained the next day.
I see that. Yeah, you're doing log.
You can't I have Westerns coming up.
Well, the thing is too, if this was last year, Pro-Am, and Wrangler would have won pro.
No, not enough pros.
Not enough pros.
It has to be 50% pros, and then you get on the podium. But having said that, if we're gonna look forward to Westerns a little bit here, Langelaar had a great performance at Manitoba Strongest Man.
Yeah,
some of the events for him at Westerns are really good.
Yeah,
it's not. We talked about this before, where the idea that somebody could get their pro status from doing what I did.
Yeah,
it's not very likely. It's still not very likely, but
it's not out of the realm.
But I will say it's not impossible.
Yeah, and
it's not something that could never happen.
Yeah,
if Andrew shows up that little bit better, that 3 weeks gets him of training, whatever that might be. Yeah. From Manitoba's, could be a great competition.
But here's the thing: you're coming out tomorrow. You, Dan, Langelaar, Gord, Aaron, Abby, everyone's coming out tomorrow. We're all training. Yeah. I'm actually hoping that I don't have to coach till time and I can train too. Yeah. Is my goal. But you're all coming out. You're competing. 3 of you are competing against each other. Right. And you're all vying for podium. You're wanting to hit the podium. Right. But yet tomorrow, I can guarantee you're all giving each other tips. To make each other better.
Yeah.
Where do you see that in the sport?
Well, and that's the thing, too, is that ultimately I want, it doesn't do much good for Manitoba to have one good lifter or 2 good lifters. It doesn't do much for our sport to grow the sport. It doesn't do much for our sport in terms of other provinces, how they see us. If they're like, there's Tyler and Dan, they're both good. And that's it. Yeah. I want there to be, there's Tyler and Dan, there's Langelaar, there's, there's all these other, there's Pat, I want there to be lots of guys that are coming up. Whether or not they're my guys, whether or not they're me, it's still important to me that the big scene is what's important to me. Yeah. The Manitoba Strongman growing is what's important to me. So that's gonna be the I think for me that's the final word on Manitoba Strongest Man. If you have any more you wanted to add?
No, I just want to make sure I give the girls their props because I was impressed with all their performances. Yeah. Because there's so many men and we're very men dominant in the sport. I like the way we're growing here in Manitoba. Absolutely. Our women's sports growing huge. I love it. It's good to have them there. Yep. What I really enjoy about the women's side is we're in a culture now where it's all what you see on social media, body image. You have to be pretty to sit. And you come to a thing like Strongman, and it doesn't matter, how you look clearly, because I'm the ref. Exactly, yeah. Crooked eyes. Doesn't matter, body style, this, that. No one gives a shit about anything about how you look, and we haven't had an issue yet, which I hope we don't have an issue with a male competitor making a woman feel. Oh boy! Making a comment about
would that ever be taken care of quickly?
We'd probably be scrapping.
That would be an immediate.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it how they come and everybody respects women and men, but women for their abilities to perform in the sport, not on how they look or how they dress that day or how they're. And I love it.
Nobody has to wear anything none of them have to wear anything that's revealing or show that they have a body.
And you go to bodybuilding, and that's what it is, right?
It's what the point of the sport is.
Bikini. It's what the whole point of sport is.
But you see it a little bit in powerlifting and stuff too, where there's a lot of little special outfits that they wear and stuff.
Absolutely, and Strongman lifting or training. And I was naive too. We had girls peeing off the hop cup years, and I was like, oh man, that's gross. And I'm like, wait a second. I need to take a step back and grow up a bit. Yep. This is, my wife has kids. I have women have kids, and not all the girls have kids, but pelvic floor issues.
Right.
These things happen. Like
it's things that you and me are learning about at the same time. We're
as coaches.
We're men in our mid-30s.
Yeah.
Who just didn't experience this kind of stuff. And it was when we were lifting, when we were starting lifting. The women weren't lifting like this.
Yeah,
you had Pam Bosco, and that was it. You know what I mean? That we could see with our own eyes lifting these crazy weights.
There's dudes that piss themselves during lifts from a weak pelvic floor.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. So I mean, I like the way our sport's heading. I like the way our province heading. We really have no assholes in our sport right now in Manitoba that are competing. Well, we have lots of assholes.
I'm trying to think. Do we have any assholes?
You know what? I even the complaints were minimal. Like it was maybe Anna Deloli. No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say we have Deloli.
So I was busting your balls.
That's pretty much it. Is Dad Loli is the only asshole that I can come up with.
No, like we've got a good solid sport. We got a good women's division.
I'm willing to say it. I think that we have a sport with no assholes right now.
Right now we do. Yeah.
I think we do.
And I'm scared for when we do.
Someday.
Because always
there's a few guys that I can think of that have been teasing coming.
Yeah. Holy smokes! But
there's a few guys that if they follow through with their plan to do Strongman, I'd be like, oh, there's the asshole we're waiting for.
It's great weekend, great wrap up of the show.
Just awesome.
Looking forward to Westerns.
All of our volunteers that did amazing.
Speaking of, before we get far, forgot to say at the beginning of the episode, Jeremy Wiens, realtor.
Yeah.
My goodness, we're great at advertising.
We got so much to talk about, and Jeremy's very understanding that now we're in the thick of the conversation. We're in the meat of the matter here, and now's when we're going to bring up Jeremy
at the height of the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeremy Wiens, realtor.
Yeah, the man himself. If there's anything that you need when it comes to buying, selling, just getting information, what's the word I'm looking for? Consultation. Consulting.
And props to our listeners, because another one of our listeners reached out this week to sell 2 of his houses.
Come on, there we go.
So I don't know. I don't think they've listed or nothing, but they're in talks.
Love it. That's a huge.
That's
huge
3,
step, man.
3 listeners. That's the way it should be. Support those who support us.
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it. Is that Jeremy Wiens is doing this as an interest of in the interest of keeping this podcast going for the strongman community.
Quite literally, he's paying for the production of this podcast.
He sure is. So he,
I can't afford it.
So he's going a long way, and it's just and I know this podcast it's for the Manitoba people for the most part. We do have listeners all across Canada.
Dude, we got Philippines,
we got
Austria,
yeah. We got people all over for sure all over Canada that we're really happy to have listened. But for the most part, we use it as a means of getting our information out to our strongman people for competitions here. Yeah. So understand that when Jeremy Wiens is sponsoring us, working with us, he does it with Manitoba Strongman in his heart, and then secondary Canadian Strongman in his heart. Yep. So thank you to Jeremy Wiens, and if you guys need anything, please get in contact with him. Yep. We're
probably getting close.
What I wanted to bring up to you, we are getting pretty close here. That took a long time. What I wanted to discuss with you, just while it's a hot topic, while it's a viral video that's going around, is I didn't know this was going to be happening until I saw a video of it on Instagram. Eddie Hall had his first fight
against 2 midgets.
I don't think they were midgets, but they
look midgets.
They were little guys for sure. So if you haven't seen the video, which I'd be shocked if anybody who's in Strongman hasn't seen this video by now, but it's a clip of Eddie Hall fighting these 2 guys in an MMA match, I guess. Yeah. And they're both attacking him at the same time. He fucking straight up WWE powerbombs one. Yeah. And then
the same guy jumps back up
and then immediately gets knocked out.
And there's no fake.
No,
he was out.
No, he was out.
That dude was sleeping.
And the other guy sees that, and he's like, oh, shit, and then he gets beaten up by Eddie. Yeah. So it's one of these weird, fight circus type things. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it was interesting. Yeah. I'll say that. Whether or not it was good, it was definitely interesting. But I'll say, though, too, I would much rather watch that than him box Thor.
But did you see what transpired from that?
That's what I was going to bring up next.
Looking like
Puchinowski?
Eddie Hall versus Maurice
Puchinowski.
Which is...
So that's what I had on my phone.
These hype fights, I'm always like, these things are retarded.
But you know what? I'm not going to lie. It'll be a horrible fight.
Because I watched Puchinowski compete back in the day, and I've watched the Strongman. I'm kind of like, I kind of want to see this guy beat each other's heads in.
He will murder Eddie Hall, too. He's been fighting for 10 years.
Yeah.
So, Mariusz Puchinowski, for anybody who's kind of uninitiated, he's world's strongest man, I think 4 times.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so he's...
Might even be... Is it 4?
Might even be the 5th one. I gotta look this stuff up. But he was an amazing strongman.
Oh yeah.
And not only in his performances, but he looked like a fucking bodybuilder.
Yeah.
He looked like he was ready to hit the stage as a mass monster kind of bodybuilding show. And he's been fighting for about 10 years now, I think.
2009 he started MMA.
Wow. Okay, so even longer then. Yeah. Okay, so 15 years he's been fighting.
Yeah.
He's like had like many professional fights and stuff, and so now I guess Eddie
He's
Hall
5-time world strongman.
5 times.
And he was disqualified in 2004. So
Do you know? Hold on. Do you know why?
was that when they drug tested him?
They drug tested him, and do you know what they caught him with?
No.
Because what would you get drug tested for in strongman,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Coke.
No.
Yeah, he got his second place or second or third, his podium place taken away
What a joke.
because he a little bit of
Nose candy.
powder in the system there.
A little bit of
thought it was creatine, but it actually ended up being something else.
obsidian nose torque.
Yeah, a little bit of the old nose torque. But
Yeah.
before that was invented.
Yeah. Someone probably just switched his bottles.
That's all it was. Is that
Yeah.
he just
He
thought
thought he was doing salts.
He's like, God damn, this zone smelling salts. It sure
yeah.
is powerful.
He's like, I've never seen someone put salt on a hooker's ass, but I'm gonna rip it up.
So, put in the comments to this video here. Do you give a fuck? Is that something that you would want to watch?
Who do you think's gonna win?
First of all, do you care? Second of all, if you do care, or if you don't, who's going to win?
Yeah.
Who would win between Mariusz Pudzianowski? Because if I was to give Eddie any kind of an edge, he's young. He's quite a bit younger.
Yep.
So there might be something to that. But Pudzianowski, he's a
veteran.
He's a veteran. He's a dangerous guy, I think.
15 years of training.
Yeah.
Is a long ass time to train.
Yeah.
For any kind of type of fight
Yeah. So I
or fighting sport. I mean, you know what? It's so stupid because I hate all these stupid fights.
so okay.
But now I'm kind of like this.
Are they booking it as a boxing match or an MMA fight?
I would hope MMA.
I hope MMA too.
Well, that's what Eddie just fought in.
Because Pudzianowski would dismantle him.
Yeah, that's what he just fought him in with MMA. So why wouldn't you continue on?
Oh,
If it's
Pudzianowski.
boxing, I mean that didn't turn out well against Thor.
Yeah, no, that's man.
When your only punch is a low jab and an overhand right.
Yeah, I hate to say that I probably would watch it just out of morbid curiosity, but I don't think that it would be anything good.
I'd be dumb enough to pay for it too.
Would you?
Probably.
I'd steal it. I think they're gonna. I think if they went 5 minutes, that would be a ridiculous.
5 minutes is a long time.
Yeah, you don't gotta tell me. Speaking of fighters, all the best to our homegirl Steffi Cohen, who's going through some. Are you following
Holy
that?
shit,
Free Steffi Cohen, obviously.
dude! Free Steffi Cohen. She did that to herself.
Hashtag Free Steffi Cohen.
Have you been following it?
I've been following it very carefully. Yeah.
I don't follow her.
I
I've seen the Goop stuff on it.
That's what I've seen.
And then
now she's getting more trouble for stealing. She stole a bunch of gym equipment from somebody.
No.
Yes.
Well,
allegedly.
And her boyfriend was from Winnipeg, or he was competing here in MABA.
Really?
Tristan Ham competed in MABA the same year I did in bodybuilding.
No shit.
Yeah. I remember he was a G-Fit.
Really?
I remember him being here. I met him.
A little Winnipeg connection to the Steffi Cohen story. For
And
you guys.
then, and then you say your boyfriend, and you know what? Maybe her boyfriend beat her up. I don't know. But the pictures you posted the day after you lose a boxing fight, or a day after I don't know if she won a fight. A day after a box fight, I had a black eye. Clearly, you just had a boxing fight.
Strange timing.
That's some shit. And they're time stamped.
We're not.
Doesn't she have a PR team at this level?
You would think so, right? Yeah. We don't need to get into the whole story of it, but if you haven't looked at if you haven't figured or been caught up on the Steffi Cohen stuff, she's a powerlifter who's going through some legal troubles.
Dude, such a smart girl.
Probably, yeah.
Stupid smart in terms of her training and what she's accomplished powerlifting is unreal.
There's a great video of her and her guy going to Westside. Have you seen this?
No.
Where she goes
Oh,
there.
yes.
And Louis has no clue who she is.
And she has
he's like, what do you do? You a powerlifter? Are you a bodybuilder? And she's like, I'm a powerlifter. And the boyfriend's like, she's 70. She has like 25 world records. He's like, in what? He has no idea. And she looks at the camera and she's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, well, if you expect Louis to know anything outside of what's going on inside of his four walls.
Yes, yeah.
If you're not a super heavyweight guy who's in a fucking suit,
yeah,
doing powerlifting, he's not gonna know what you're doing.
Did you see the video we were all commenting on this week?
I don't know.
So there's a kid out of Steinbach, Daniel Reimer. He's an MPA lifter,
okay.
And I don't know if he's trying to be a fit influencer.
Who isn't trying though?
Oh, so he posted this video, and he's like, he's like. Lots of fat people use the excuse that they're a power lifter. You are not a power lifter. You're a fat man. You're not a power lifter. You need to get a bicep vein. And he's like trashing like any open. Like I'm like, and I get the video sent to me, and I'm like, this isn't happening. This is a dude.
That's how far
this is a dude works with Brian too.
Oh really?
And Brian's like, oh man, he's like, for shit's sakes, like. So me, Mocha,
and this is we're giving him what he wants, right? He wants to be a fitness influencer.
Oh, dude, yeah, he pays for his followers. He's got 14,500 followers. He gets 50 likes a video. And so it gets sent in our group chat.
Follow him.
Yeah, in our group chat, me and the guys, and I just jump on. I'm like, this is the stupidest shit I've heard all day. So I comment on there, and then I take Langler. I'm like, this guy's telling you that none of your MPA records count because you don't have a bicep vein.
You're too fat.
You fat. So I go to post fat, and I get flagged on Instagram.
Really? Oh, because you said you fat. Yeah.
So I put PHAT, and then I can run it back.
Big
PHAT,
PHUCK.
Like this freaking kid.
That's awesome.
And look at his open record. He failed a 425 deadlift at his last Pilot Cup.
Fuck yeah.
He benches like 20 pounds under his deadlift.
Hey, shout out that guy. Go follow him on Instagram. Give him some love. Give him some of the likes that he needs. This guy's trying to be a fitness influencer. Let's help him out. Let's get him there.
But before we shut down this list, next weekend
we have the Lucas Hatton seminar right here at Iron Age. Sold out. We're really. I couldn't be happier about that. We got exactly the number that we were looking for it. If you want to, you can let me know, and I can put you on a cancellation list if you want, but it seems like everyone's pretty excited about it. I don't think we're going to get any cancellations. But I'm thrilled about that. The next day, we have a WRPF meet at Cornerstone Barbell.
Yep.
My gym is one of the sponsors for it. We got a couple people competing for it. So go there, check that one out, supports whatever strength sports are going on in the city.
I've got clients competing.
Yep. It's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to going out there and watching. We got Big Rig Scotty here, who's going to hit a national record in his division, which I'm very excited about. He hit 460 here, like just pretty easily. So I don't think that 470 sounds like it'd be too crazy that day. And following that, we have holy smokes, where are we here? So we got July 1st. We got me and the boys are headed to Westerns. We got Pat going to CSM 105, and then we got Vita's Strongest in Vita, Manitoba. The registration for that absolutely skyrocketed.
We had no one signed up 4 weeks ago.
And
now I'm like,
we had 4 people at Tolstoy, and now we have 44 people or 43.
I need helpers.
Yes, we do need some people still. We've been populating our list of volunteers, which has been really nice.
Yeah,
we could use a couple more if you're free.
I need helpers.
I said this to a couple people yesterday in the gym. If you are somebody who in any way monetizes off of Strongman, let's say you're a coach, let's say you're I don't know what else you could really be, but something to that degree, and you haven't competed, you haven't been to a show, hey, why not volunteer? Why not give back a little bit to this fucking guy here who makes it so that you can make money off of the sport of strongman? Because otherwise, nobody would give a fuck about it. Nobody would do it.
Yeah.
So
that's true. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying.
There wouldn't be any shows to monetize from.
Right. So if you are someone from another gym or whatever, and you coach or you
until that non-for-profit starts up,
until that fucking starts up, whatever. Or if you host strongman stuff or whatever, if you make money off of strongman in every way, anyway. Why not give back a little bit right now? This is a perfect opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
But we have Vita on Canada Day. Following that, July 20th, we have Nathan Payton.
Great sign up so far. There's still lots of space.
But honestly, a good sign.
Good sign up for the first.
About half of what you need already, which was a pretty big number. But that's awesome.
Yeah. The goal was to break even. We'll see if we even get there. I don't care. I'm excited to just meet the dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hoping not live stream, hoping to record.
Yeah,
and
if you feel like you might not be able to make it, talk to Devin because
there were actually guys down south that commented on the post because Nathan shared the post under his account, and they said if there was any way to get this live stream, I'd pay for it.
Beautiful. Maybe we can talk about that then.
So who knows? Yep.
So we will. That's going to be a huge seminar. We're really excited about that. 2 huge seminars in the span of a month here in Winnipeg. That's never happened before.
No.
So that's very exciting. After that, we have the Magnus qualifier in Gimli on August 3rd. Just always a great show. Really looking forward to that. I've started to see the list of competitors for that one. We have the list of events for it. It's going to be a really, really fun competition.
It's going to be fun.
Just like I really like the events just as like good standby strongman events. I think it's going to be really, really fun. And August 10th in Winkler, we have SCC Provincials, which is going to be a huge show. We're really excited for that. We're going to use Vita as our last opportunity to get people qualified for that one. So if you're not qualified yet, train hard.
Sign up a close the week after Vita.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Compete hard for Vita, and if you've already competed, qualified through Tolstoy, let us know if you want to do Thinger, and. Following that, some way down the line in November, we got our grip competition, and then
Deadlift for Dreams September.
We got, oh my goodness gracious, we got Deadlift for Dreams. So let me just pull up the thing here. We're getting a little long here in the tooth here, but we'll make this really fast. Deadlift for Dreams so far raised. Oh my goodness gracious.
I'm trying to pull it up too.
Wow. We're at 17% of the goal with $10,705. With 84 days left, we're almost at $11,000 raised.
It's going to jump.
Oh, yeah.
I just got another white light sponsor 2 days ago.
Tremendous.
Another $2,500. So
we are seeing just a ridiculous amount of money raised primarily for this little girl who really, really needs that. Her family needs the help. And then once we reach the number that we're looking for to help this family, any other money that's raised is just spread out amongst other families that need help.
And if you're a listener in your business, we're looking for corporate sponsors.
Yeah.
We have a couple, the white light sponsors. The girl we're doing it for does have a little place right because her dad is a good friend of mine.
Right.
So Ruby, she's a special girl. Everybody in that whole organization is a special girl.
Yep.
So yeah, if you're looking for corporate sponsor, if you're like, hey, I'd like to donate, or I'd like to even have my logo there and help out, donate as a corporate sponsor.
Absolutely.
Get some publicity from it, help with your advertising, and it also helps an amazing cause.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So get yourself signed up for that. Get some donations. If you know somebody who's competing, contact them for their donation link. Give them $20. Just it really goes a long way. If everybody who's competing gets $20, that's a huge day in terms of progressing the goal towards that $60,000.
$20 is $20.
Devin's fucking motto.
I know that, baby.
It's tattooed on his lower back. In the meantime, we'll leave it there for now. We will see you guys. So we'll be recording next week, and then the week after that, I'll be sitting down for an interview with Lucas Hatton, which I'm very excited about. So that'll be the week following that. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Keep your eyes peeled for that one.
Speaking of tattoos, so I like golf with me and the wife, and she actually got her first tattoo.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you get?
Right on the lower back, an arrow pointing out says the 19th hole.
Oh my goodness gracious!
No, I'm kidding. Speaking of that, I got shit on this week for that last podcast.
For what you said about her not going to the gym?
Well, we're sitting there yesterday.
I tried to save you.
I know. I think it was yesterday before. It's like, the podcast. Yeah, what about it? It's like, you were going to talk about it. I gained weight, didn't you?
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, no. She's like, yeah, you were. I'm like, yeah, I was.
One hand on the doorknob
Yeah.
behind you.
Oh, man, I thought that was it. Yeah. And she's cutting vegetables with a new sharp knife or something.
Everyone knows that Danielle's one of the busiest women in Manitoba, so no disrespect to her. If she finds time for the gym, great. If she doesn't, she will eventually. So we'll leave it at that for today. Thanks, guys, for watching and listening. We'll see you guys next week.